Searching for Happiness, Why We Chase It and How We Finally Find It. Written and published by Rising Audiobook. Introduction. You have spent so much of your life reaching for something just beyond your grasp. You tell yourself that happiness will begin when the struggle ends, when the money grows, when the right person arrives, when your life finally looks the way you imagined. You keep moving forward, hoping that one day, after enough effort, you will arrive at the place where peace begins. But the truth is, you may have been searching in the wrong direction. This audiobook is for you, the person who has achieved things but still feels empty, the person who is busy but not fulfilled, the person who smiles on the outside while quietly wondering, is this all there is? You are not alone in that question, and you are not broken for asking it. Today, you will uncover why happiness often feels so elusive, why success does not always satisfy, and why your mind keeps pulling you toward more. But more importantly, you will discover that happiness is not a distant prize reserved for the lucky few. It is something you can understand, practice, and build. By the end of this journey, you will see your life differently. You will stop waiting for happiness to rescue you, and you will begin learning how to create it from within. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why you believe happiness is somewhere else. You have been taught, in 1,000 subtle ways, to believe that happiness is waiting for you somewhere beyond today. It is waiting after the exam, after the promotion, after the salary increase, after the relationship, after the house, after the success, after the pain. You tell yourself that once life finally settles into the shape you want, then you will feel complete. Then you will breathe easier, then you will wake up and finally feel happy, but that promise is always moving. The moment you reach one goal, another one appears. The moment you get what you wanted, your mind quietly begins asking for more: a better job, a higher position, a newer phone, a larger home, a more beautiful body, a more impressive life. You keep chasing, not because you are foolish, but because you have been trained to believe that happiness lives in the future. You have been taught to postpone joy until everything is perfect, and that delay becomes a way of life. This is one of the most dangerous illusions you will ever carry. Because when you believe happiness is somewhere else, you stop noticing the life already in front of you. You stop appreciating the small moments that make a day meaningful. You stop seeing the value of ordinary mornings, quiet conversations, simple meals, and peaceful evenings. You begin to treat your present life like a waiting room, as if it is only a temporary stop before the real life begins. But the truth is, your real life is happening now. You may think happiness is hidden inside success, but success alone cannot guarantee it. You may think it is hidden inside money, but money can only buy comfort, not contentment. You may think it is hidden inside approval, but approval is fragile and never lasts long enough to fill the emptiness within. Even the things you once dreamed about can lose their power once you finally possess them. The new becomes normal. The exciting becomes expected. The desire returns. That does not mean success is meaningless. It does not mean money, love, or achievement are unimportant. They matter, but they are not the source of lasting happiness. They are pieces of life, not the entire meaning of life. When you make them the destination, you set yourself up for endless disappointment. When you make them tools instead of trophies, you begin to understand their real value. The deeper problem is not that you want better things. The deeper problem is that you keep believing better things will fix what is inside you. You hope the outside world will solve an inner emptiness. You hope the next chapter of life will finally give you peace. But peace is not found by collecting more. It is found by seeing more clearly. You may not need a completely different life. You may need a different way of looking at the life you already have. This chapter asks you to pause and examine the story you have been telling yourself. Have you been saying, "I will be happy when..." When the answer is yes, you are living with a delay built into your heart. You are putting your own joy on hold. You are allowing your future to steal from your present. And the more you wait, the more happiness begins to feel like something rare, something distant, something always just out of reach. But happiness is not a reward reserved for the finish line. It is not only for people who have everything figured out. It is not a final trophy handed out after perfect performance. It is a way of noticing, a way of living, a way of being present enough to recognize what already matters. You do not need to stop wanting goals. You do not need to stop building a better life, but you do need to stop believing that life begins only after those goals are reached. Because if you spend all your energy waiting for some future version of happiness, you may miss the quieter, deeper happiness already available in this moment. And that is where your real journey begins. Not by reaching farther, not by chasing harder, but by asking yourself a brave new question. What if happiness was never as far away as I thought? Chapter 2. Why we never feel satisfied. Have you ever noticed how quickly excitement fades? Think back to something you once wanted more than anything. Perhaps it was your first job, a promotion, a new home, a dream vacation, or a relationship you believed would change your life forever. Before you achieved it, you imagined how incredible life would feel. You pictured yourself happier, more confident, and finally at peace. Then you got it. For a while, everything felt exactly as you expected. You smiled more. You felt proud. You celebrated. But as weeks turned into months, something strange happened. The excitement slowly disappeared. What once felt extraordinary became ordinary. Before long, your mind was already searching for the next goal. If this has happened to you, you are not ungrateful. You are human. Your brain is designed to adapt. Psychologists call this phenomenon hedonic adaptation, but its meaning is surprisingly simple. No matter how wonderful or painful an experience is, your mind gradually adjusts until it becomes your new normal. This ability helps you recover from setbacks, but it also prevents achievements from making you permanently happy. Imagine climbing a mountain. From the bottom, reaching the top feels like the ultimate dream. Every step fills you with anticipation. When you finally stand at the summit, the view is breathtaking. For a few moments you feel unstoppable. But eventually your eyes drift toward another mountain in the distance. Suddenly, the peak beneath your feet no longer seems enough. Life often works the same way. You believe the next milestone will complete you. Then, once you reach it, your expectations quietly rise. What was once a dream becomes a standard. Instead of feeling fulfilled, you begin chasing another dream. This cycle repeats itself over and over. More money, more recognition, more followers, more success, more possessions, more perfection. There is nothing wrong with wanting to improve your life. Growth is healthy. Ambition pushes humanity forward. The problem begins when you expect every new achievement to deliver permanent happiness. That is a burden no achievement can carry. Consider someone who works tirelessly for years to earn a promotion. They sacrifice weekends, lose sleep, and postpone family time because they believe reaching that position will finally make life satisfying. Promotion day arrives. Friends congratulate them. They celebrate with excitement. 6 months later, the new position feels normal. New responsibilities create new pressures. Soon they begin thinking about the next promotion, the next salary increase, the next title. Nothing outside has gone wrong. Only the mind has adapted. This endless cycle explains why some of the wealthiest, most famous, and most successful people still struggle with unhappiness. From the outside, they appear to have everything. Yet inside, they often discover that success solved fewer problems than they imagined. Money can improve your comfort. Recognition can increase your opportunities. Achievement can build confidence. But none of them can permanently silence the restless voice that constantly whispers, "What comes next?" That voice exists because your brain evolved to keep moving forward. Thousands of years ago, this drive helped human beings survive. People who stopped striving often struggled to find food, shelter, or safety. Today, that same instinct continues operating even though your challenges have changed. Instead of hunting for survival, you hunt for achievement. Instead of searching for food, you search for status. Instead of worrying about predators, you worry about comparison. Your brain rarely says, "This is enough." Instead, it asks, "What else can I get?" This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude interrupts the endless chase. It reminds you to notice what your ambitious mind constantly overlooks. It shifts your attention from what is missing to what is already meaningful. Imagine walking through a beautiful garden while staring only at the gate ahead. You rush toward the exit because you believe something better is waiting outside. In your hurry, you never notice the flowers blooming beside you, the fragrance in the air, or the warmth of the sunlight. Many people live exactly this way. They rush through life, chasing tomorrow while overlooking today. The solution is not to stop dreaming. Dreams give direction. Goals create progress. The answer is to stop believing that every future achievement holds the key to your happiness. You can pursue success while appreciating the present. You can build wealth while enjoying simple moments. You can work toward ambitious goals without convincing yourself that your worth depends on reaching them. The happiest people are not those who have stopped growing. They are those who have learned to balance ambition with appreciation. They celebrate progress without allowing their joy to depend entirely on the next accomplishment. Ask yourself a simple question. If you achieved every goal currently on your list, would your mind eventually create another list? For most people, the honest answer is yes. That realization is not discouraging, it is liberating. It means happiness was never meant to arrive with the next promotion, the next purchase, or the next milestone. Those moments are wonderful, but they are temporary. Lasting happiness grows from your ability to appreciate the present while continuing to build the future. When you stop expecting more to complete you, you begin discovering that enough is often much closer than you ever imagined. Chapter 3. Looking in the wrong places. If happiness could be bought, the richest people in the world would never feel lonely. If happiness came from popularity, every celebrity would wake up smiling. If happiness depended on beauty, no attractive person would ever struggle with anxiety or self-doubt. Yet reality tells a different story. Every day you see successful people battling depression. Wealthy individuals feel empty despite having everything money can buy. Social media influencers with millions of followers admit they are unhappy behind the camera. These stories reveal an uncomfortable truth. The places where you have been told to search for happiness are often the very places where happiness is hardest to find. The problem is not that money, success, or recognition are bad. The problem is believing they are enough. From the moment you were young, you were surrounded by messages telling you what happiness should look like. Advertisements promised that a new product would make your life better. Movies suggested that finding the perfect partner would solve everything. Society celebrated wealth, beauty, status, and popularity as the ultimate signs of success. Slowly, without realizing it, you accepted the idea that happiness was something you could acquire from the outside. So you started chasing. You compared your life with people who seemed more successful. You measured your achievements against your friends. You judged your appearance against strangers on the internet. You believed someone else's highlight reel represented everyday reality. The result was not motivation, it was dissatisfaction. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose your joy because it changes the way you see your own life. Instead of appreciating what you have, your attention shifts to what you lack. Suddenly, your comfortable home feels too small because someone else has a bigger one. Your stable job feels disappointing because another person earns more. Your achievements seem insignificant because someone else reached them sooner. Comparison quietly steals gratitude, and once gratitude disappears, happiness rarely survives. One of the greatest traps of modern life is social media. Every day you scroll through carefully edited moments that make other people's lives appear effortless. You see vacations without the stress of planning them, Smiles without the arguments that happened earlier. Success without the years of failure that came before it. You are not comparing your real life with someone else's real life. You are comparing your everyday reality with someone else's best moments. No one uploads their sleepless nights, moments of insecurity, financial worries, or private struggles with the same enthusiasm they upload celebrations. Yet your brain often forgets this. It fills in the missing pieces and assumes everyone else is happier than you. Imagine two neighbors who earn almost the same income, live in similar homes, and have loving families. The first neighbor spends every evening scrolling through social media, comparing himself with millionaires, celebrities, and influencers. Every new image reminds him of what he does not have. Over time, he feels frustrated, discouraged, and convinced that life is unfair. The second neighbor also has dreams and ambitions, but instead of comparing himself with strangers, he focuses on improving his own life. He appreciates family dinners, enjoys weekend walks, celebrates small victories, and continues working toward meaningful goals. Their circumstances are nearly identical. Their happiness is not. The difference is perspective. Material possessions create another illusion. Buying something new often brings excitement. A new phone, a new watch, a new car, or a beautifully decorated home can certainly make life more enjoyable. There is nothing wrong with appreciating beautiful things. The problem begins when possessions become your identity. If your happiness depends entirely on owning more than others, you enter a competition that never ends. Someone will always have a newer car, a larger house, a more expensive vacation, or a more impressive lifestyle. When happiness depends on comparison, satisfaction becomes impossible. Another hidden trap is the need for approval. Perhaps you have experienced this yourself. You worked hard on a project, shared an idea, or posted something online. At first, you felt proud simply because you created it. Then you started checking how many people liked it, praised it, or agreed with it. Without noticing, your emotional state became controlled by other people's opinions. When they approved, you felt valuable. When they ignored you, you questioned yourself. This is a dangerous place to live because approval is unpredictable. People change their opinions. Trends come and go. What is admired today may be forgotten tomorrow. If your happiness depends on applause, your peace will always be temporary. Real confidence grows differently. It grows when your values become stronger than public opinion. It grows when you measure yourself against the person you were yesterday instead of the person someone else appears to be today. It grows when your self-worth comes from character rather than comparison. None of this means you should stop pursuing success or enjoying beautiful things. Success can open opportunities. Wealth can create security. Recognition can expand your influence. These things have value, but they should become additions to your happiness, not the foundation of it. Imagine building a house. If the foundation is weak, every storm threatens to destroy it. But when the foundation is solid, the house remains standing even when the weather changes. Your happiness works the same way. If it is built on possessions, popularity, or constant approval, every setback feels like a disaster. If it is built on gratitude, purpose, self-respect, meaningful relationships, and inner peace, life's inevitable challenges become easier to face. The truth is, happiness has never been hiding inside another person's life. It has never been waiting in a larger paycheck, a perfect photograph, or endless admiration from strangers. The search becomes exhausting only because you keep looking where happiness was never meant to be found. The moment you stop chasing someone else's version of success, you create space to discover your own. And that is where genuine happiness begins, not in having more than everyone else, but in appreciating enough, living authentically, and becoming the person you were meant to be. Chapter 4. Understanding Yourself. Before you can find lasting happiness, you must answer a question that very few people ever stop to ask. Who are you when no one is watching? Not your job title, not your income, not your achievements. not the expectations others have placed upon you, just you. This may sound like a simple question, but it is one of the most difficult questions you will ever face. Many people spend years building a successful life without ever taking the time to understand the person living it. They know how to meet deadlines, impress others, and accomplish goals, but they have never truly learned what brings them peace, what gives them meaning, or what kind of life genuinely fulfills them. As a result, they end up chasing someone else's definition of happiness. Imagine setting out on a journey without knowing your destination. You could walk for days, months, or even years, but no matter how far you travel, you would never know whether you were moving in the right direction. That is what life feels like when you don't understand yourself. You remain busy, but not necessarily fulfilled. You achieve, but you don't always feel satisfied. The search for happiness does not begin by changing your circumstances. It begins by understanding yourself. Self-awareness is the ability to observe your own thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and behaviors without immediately judging them. It means becoming curious about why you react the way you do, why certain situations make you anxious, why some accomplishments leave you feeling empty, why certain people energize you while others drain you. Without self-awareness, you spend your life reacting automatically. With self-awareness, you begin making intentional choices. Think about how often you operate on autopilot. You wake up, check your phone, rush through your morning, work for hours, scroll through social media, watch television, go to sleep, and repeat the same routine the next day. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Somewhere along the way, you stop asking whether this routine reflects the life you actually want. Busyness often disguises confusion. Being constantly occupied is not the same as living with purpose. Another important part of understanding yourself is learning to accept your emotions instead of fighting them. Many people believe happiness means never feeling sadness, fear, disappointment, or frustration. They try to eliminate every uncomfortable emotion as quickly as possible. They distract themselves with work, entertainment, shopping, or endless scrolling because silence forces them to confront feelings they would rather avoid. But emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. Sadness may tell you that something important has been lost. Fear may reveal where growth is needed. Frustration may point toward a problem that deserves attention. Loneliness may remind you that human connection matters. Ignoring these emotions does not make them disappear. It simply buries them deeper, where they continue influencing your decisions without your awareness. Imagine driving a car with a warning light flashing on the dashboard. Covering the light with tape does not fix the engine. It only prevents you from seeing the problem. Your emotions work in the same way. Instead of asking, "How do I stop feeling this?" try asking, "What is this feeling trying to teach me?" That single question can transform the way you experience life. Understanding yourself also requires knowing your values. Values are the principles that guide your decisions. They determine what truly matters to you beyond money, success, or recognition. For one person, freedom may be the highest priority. For another, it may be family, creativity, learning, kindness, honesty, or service. The problem is that many people never choose their own values. They inherit them. Parents, teachers, friends, society, and culture all influence what you believe success should look like. Without questioning those expectations, you may spend decades pursuing goals that were never truly yours. Imagine someone who becomes a successful corporate executive because everyone told them it was the safest and most respected path. They earn an excellent salary, receive promotions, and gain admiration from others. Yet every morning they wake up feeling exhausted and disconnected. One day they realize what they actually love is teaching young people, writing stories, or helping communities. Their external success never matched their internal values. The problem was never the career itself. The problem was the mismatch between their life and who they truly were. Real happiness begins when your daily choices reflect your deepest values. This does not mean every day becomes easy. Living authentically sometimes requires difficult decisions. It may mean changing careers, ending unhealthy relationships, setting boundaries, or letting go of expectations that no longer serve you. Those choices can feel uncomfortable, but pretending to be someone you are not is far more exhausting. Another powerful habit of self-awareness is spending time alone. Many people fear solitude because it removes distractions. Without constant noise, your own thoughts become impossible to ignore. Yet solitude is where clarity often begins. When you create quiet moments for reflection, you start noticing patterns in your life. You recognize what gives you energy and what drains it. You see which relationships help you grow and which hold you back. You become more aware of your habits, your fears, and your dreams. This kind of awareness cannot be downloaded from the internet or borrowed from someone else's experience. It must be discovered personally. Journaling, meditation, prayer, walking in nature, or simply sitting quietly for a few minutes each day can all become powerful tools for understanding yourself. These practices do not change who you are. They help you uncover who you have been all along. As your self-awareness grows, something remarkable happens. You stop making decisions simply because everyone else is making them. You stop measuring your worth by comparison. You stop chasing goals that do not align with your heart. Instead, your choices become guided by intention rather than pressure. You begin living from the inside out instead of the outside in. That is where genuine confidence is born. Not from proving yourself to others, but from knowing yourself. The search for happiness is not really a search for something outside of you. It is a journey back to yourself. Because the more clearly you understand who you are, what you value, and what truly gives your life meaning, the less time you waste chasing things that were never meant to make you happy. The greatest discovery you can make is not finding a perfect life. It is discovering the person you were always meant to become. Chapter 5. The Science of Happiness. For centuries, people searched for happiness through philosophy, religion, and personal experience. They asked the same questions you may be asking today. What makes a good life? Why do some people remain joyful during difficult times while others feel empty despite having everything they could want? Today, science offers fascinating answers. Psychologists, neuroscientists, and researchers have spent decades studying happiness, not as a vague emotion, but as something that can be observed, measured, and understood. Their discoveries reveal an encouraging truth. Happiness is not simply a matter of luck or personality. While circumstances certainly influence your life, much of your long-term happiness depends on habits, relationships, thoughts, and daily choices that are within your control. One of the most surprising discoveries is that your brain is constantly changing. This ability is known as neuroplasticity. It means your brain is not fixed. Every thought you repeat, every habit you practice, and every emotion you experience strengthens certain neural pathways. The more often you think in a particular way, the easier it becomes for your brain to think that way again. Imagine walking through a grassy field. The first time you walk across it, the path is barely visible, but if you continue walking the same route every day, the grass slowly flattens until a clear trail appears. Your thoughts work exactly the same way. Repeated patterns become your brain's preferred route. If you constantly focus on problems, your brain becomes highly skilled at noticing what is wrong. If you regularly practice gratitude, optimism, and appreciation, your brain becomes better at recognizing what is right. This does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It means training your attention to see the whole picture instead of only the negative parts. Your brain naturally has what psychologists call a negativity bias. Thousands of years ago, this bias helped your ancestors survive. People who quickly noticed danger were more likely to stay alive than those who focused only on pleasant experiences. Even though modern life is much safer, your brain still pays more attention to criticism than compliments, failures than successes, and threats than opportunities. Think about receiving 10 comments after completing an important project. 9 people praise your work. 1 person criticizes it. Which comment stays in your mind all day? For most people, it is the criticism. Your brain automatically gives more weight to negative experiences because it believes they are more important for survival. Fortunately, you are not trapped by this instinct. You can retrain your attention. One of the simplest and most scientifically supported ways to do this is through gratitude. Gratitude is far more than saying thank you. It is the deliberate practice of noticing what is already good in your life. Research has consistently shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience greater optimism, stronger relationships, better sleep, lower stress levels, and increased life satisfaction. Why? Because gratitude changes where your attention goes. Imagine carrying a flashlight through a dark room. Whatever you point the light toward becomes visible. Your attention works like that flashlight. If you constantly shine it on everything missing from your life, disappointment grows. If you also shine it on everything that is meaningful, supportive, and beautiful, hope begins to grow alongside it. Another powerful contributor to happiness is mindfulness. Modern life constantly pulls your attention in different directions. Notifications interrupt conversations. Emails arrive every few minutes. Social media competes for your focus. Many people spend their days physically present but mentally somewhere else. While eating breakfast, they think about work. While working, they think about the weekend. While on vacation, they worry about returning home. They are rarely fully present. Mindfulness simply means paying complete attention to the present moment without immediately judging it. It is not about emptying your mind. It is about noticing your thoughts instead of becoming controlled by them. Scientific studies have shown that mindfulness reduces stress, lowers anxiety, improves emotional regulation, and increases overall well-being. When you become fully present, even ordinary experiences become richer. A conversation becomes more meaningful. A meal becomes more enjoyable. A walk becomes more peaceful. Life slows down, not because time changes, but because your awareness does. Another discovery from happiness research is that relationships matter more than almost anything else. One of the longest-running studies ever conducted on human well-being, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, followed participants for decades. The researchers reached a remarkably consistent conclusion. The strongest predictor of a happy and healthy life was not wealth, intelligence, or career success. It was the quality of close relationships. People who felt loved, supported, and connected generally lived longer, experienced better physical health, and reported greater happiness than those who felt isolated. This reminds you that happiness is rarely created alone. Human beings are wired for connection. Acts of kindness also produce measurable changes in the brain. When you help someone without expecting anything in return, your brain releases chemicals associated with pleasure, trust, and emotional well-being. Something remarkable happens. The person receiving kindness benefits. The person witnessing kindness often feels inspired. And the person giving kindness experiences greater happiness as well. Generosity creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond a single moment. Physical health also plays an essential role in emotional well-being. Your brain is part of your body, not separate from it. Regular exercise improves mood by releasing endorphins, reducing stress hormones, and supporting healthy brain function. Quality sleep strengthens emotional regulation and decision-making. Nutritious food provides the energy your brain needs to function effectively. You cannot expect your mind to perform at its best while consistently neglecting your body. The connection between physical and emotional health is stronger than many people realize. Perhaps the most encouraging discovery from modern psychology is that happiness is not something you either possess or lack. It is something you cultivate. Just as muscles become stronger through consistent exercise, your capacity for happiness grows through repeated practice. Every grateful thought strengthens appreciation. Every mindful breath strengthens presence. Every meaningful conversation strengthens connection. Every act of kindness strengthens compassion. Every healthy habit strengthens resilience. These small actions may seem insignificant on their own, but over weeks, months, and years, they reshape the way you experience life. Science confirms what wisdom has suggested for generations. Happiness is not created by one extraordinary moment. It is built through thousands of ordinary moments, lived with awareness, gratitude, purpose, and love. You do not have to wait for your circumstances to become perfect before you begin feeling happier. You can begin today, with one grateful thought, one kind action, one meaningful conversation, one mindful breath, one intentional choice. Because happiness is not simply something that happens to you. It is something your mind and heart can learn to create, one day at a time. Chapter 6. Why Purpose Outlasts Pleasure. Pleasure feels good. Purpose feels meaningful. At first, they may seem like the same thing, but they are very different. One gives you a temporary emotional high, the other gives your life direction. One fades quickly, the other grows stronger with time. Understanding this difference may completely change the way you search for happiness. Think about the happiest moments you have experienced. Perhaps you bought something you had wanted for a long time. Maybe you enjoyed a delicious meal, watched an exciting movie, received unexpected praise, or spent a relaxing day on vacation. Those moments were enjoyable, and there is nothing wrong with appreciating them. But ask yourself an honest question. How long did those feelings last? A few hours? A few days? Maybe a few weeks? Eventually, life returned to normal. The excitement faded, and your mind moved on to something else. This is the nature of pleasure. It is wonderful, but it is temporary. Now think about a different kind of experience. Perhaps you helped someone through a difficult time. You finished a project that required months of dedication. You raised a child, cared for a loved one, taught someone a valuable skill, or worked toward a goal that reflected your deepest values. Those experiences may not have been easy. In fact, they may have involved sacrifice, frustration, and uncertainty. Yet when you look back on them, they leave you with something far more valuable than excitement. They leave you with meaning. Meaning has a unique power. It gives purpose to suffering. It gives direction to effort. It gives value to ordinary days. When your life has purpose, even difficult moments become part of something bigger than yourself. Imagine two people working long hours. The first person works only to earn a paycheck. Every Monday feels like a burden, and every Friday feels like an escape. Work becomes something to endure rather than enjoy. The second person also works hard, but believes their efforts make a positive difference. Perhaps they are teaching children, caring for patients, building something valuable, or supporting a family they deeply love. The work may be just as demanding, but it carries a completely different emotional weight. The difference is not always the job. The difference is the purpose behind it. Purpose changes the meaning of effort. This is why some people willingly wake up before sunrise to train for a marathon, spend years building a business, or dedicate countless hours to caring for others. The work is difficult, but the purpose makes the struggle worthwhile. Without purpose, even comfort can become empty. With purpose, even hardship can become meaningful. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived unimaginable suffering during the Holocaust, observed something extraordinary. While imprisoned under horrific conditions, he noticed that those who found meaning in their lives often displayed remarkable resilience. They still experienced pain, fear, and grief, but purpose gave them a reason to keep moving forward. His insight remains deeply relevant today. You do not always control what happens to you, but you can choose the meaning you give to what happens. Purpose is not reserved for famous leaders, entrepreneurs, or world-changing innovators. It can be found in ordinary lives. A parent who lovingly raises children is living with purpose. A teacher who inspires curiosity is living with purpose. A nurse comforting frightened patients is living with purpose. An artist creating beauty, a volunteer helping strangers, a friend listening without judgment, all are expressions of purpose. Purpose is less about what you do and more about why you do it. Many people mistakenly believe they must discover one grand mission before their lives become meaningful. They spend years asking, "What is my purpose?" while overlooking countless opportunities to live purposefully every day. Purpose does not always arrive as a dramatic revelation. More often, it grows through consistent acts of service, learning, kindness, creativity, and responsibility. It is built one choice at a time. You also do not need to choose between happiness and purpose. In fact, the two strengthen one another. Pleasure gives life moments of joy. Purpose gives life lasting significance. Imagine building a fire. Pleasure is like a spark. It burns brightly but disappears quickly. Purpose is like the steady wood that keeps the fire alive through the night. Without sparks, life can become dull. Without wood, the fire cannot last. A fulfilling life needs both. Modern culture often encourages you to ask, "What will make me happy?" A better question might be, "How can I make my life meaningful?" When you focus only on happiness, disappointment often follows because emotions naturally rise and fall. When you focus on meaning, happiness often appears as a byproduct. People who dedicate themselves to something greater than immediate comfort frequently discover a deeper form of contentment. They experience setbacks, but they continue moving forward because their motivation reaches beyond temporary emotions. Purpose also protects you during life's most difficult seasons. There will be days when you feel discouraged, days when success seems distant, days when happiness feels impossible to find. On those days, purpose becomes your anchor. It reminds you why you started. It reminds you who you are. It reminds you that today's struggle contributes to tomorrow's growth. Ask yourself a few simple questions. What kind of person do you want to become? Whose life do you hope to improve? What values do you want your actions to reflect? What would make you proud of the way you spent your time? The answers may not appear immediately. That is perfectly normal. Purpose is often discovered through living, not merely through thinking. It becomes clearer each time you choose courage over comfort, service over selfishness, growth over convenience, and meaning over momentary pleasure. At the end of your life, you are unlikely to remember every meal you enjoyed, every purchase you made, or every moment of entertainment. But you will remember the lives you touched, the love you gave, the challenges you overcame, the dreams you pursued, the difference you made, because pleasure fills moments, purpose fills a lifetime. And when your life is guided by purpose, happiness no longer becomes something you endlessly chase. It becomes something that quietly walks beside you every step of the way. Chapter 7. Building the Habits of Happy People. If happiness depended on luck, very little of it would be within your control. You would simply have to wait and hope that life treated you kindly. But happiness doesn't work that way. While unexpected events certainly influence your emotions, the quality of your life is shaped far more by what you repeatedly do than by what occasionally happens to you. In other words, happiness is not built through one extraordinary decision. It is built through hundreds of ordinary habits that quietly shape the way you think, feel, and live every single day. Think about the person you are today. You are, in many ways, the result of your daily routines. The books you read, the food you eat, the people you spend time with, the thoughts you entertain, the amount of sleep you get, and even the way you speak to yourself all become part of the person you are becoming. Small actions may seem insignificant on a single day, but over months and years they create remarkable change. Just as a river slowly carves through solid rock, your habits gradually shape your character and your happiness. One of the simplest habits practiced by genuinely happy people is gratitude. This does not mean pretending that life is perfect or ignoring difficulties. It means choosing to notice what is already good, even while working to improve what is not. Your brain naturally focuses on problems because it is designed to protect you from danger. Gratitude gently redirects your attention toward the blessings that often go unnoticed. It may be the support of your family, the opportunity to learn something new, good health, a peaceful morning, or even the simple ability to begin another day. The more consistently you recognize these moments, the more your mind begins to expect them, and the easier it becomes to experience joy in everyday life. Another habit that strongly influences happiness is taking care of your body. Many people separate mental health from physical health, but they are deeply connected. When your body lacks sleep, nutritious food, or regular movement, your mind struggles as well. Imagine trying to drive a car without maintaining the engine. No matter how skilled the driver may be, the journey becomes difficult. Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life. A short walk, regular exercise, healthy meals, and adequate rest may seem ordinary, but they have an extraordinary impact on your mood, energy, and ability to handle stress. You do not need a perfect fitness routine. You simply need to treat your body as a lifelong partner rather than an afterthought. Happy people also understand the value of kindness. Modern society often encourages competition, but kindness creates something competition cannot: connection. Every sincere compliment, every helping hand, every patient conversation, and every act of generosity strengthens not only the lives of others, but also your own emotional well-being. Science has shown that acts of kindness stimulate areas of the brain associated with pleasure and connection. More importantly, kindness reminds you that happiness grows when it is shared. The more you contribute to the well-being of others, the richer your own life becomes. Mindfulness is another habit that transforms ordinary days into meaningful experiences. Many people spend their lives physically present but mentally somewhere else. While eating dinner, they think about tomorrow's meeting. During family conversations, they scroll through their phones. On vacation, they worry about unfinished work. Their bodies are in one place while their minds are somewhere entirely different. Mindfulness invites you to return to the present moment. It encourages you to fully experience the conversation you are having, the meal you are eating, the walk you are taking, or the sunset unfolding before your eyes. Life becomes richer when you stop rushing through it. Another powerful habit is lifelong learning. Happiness grows when you continue to develop as a person. Learning keeps your mind curious, flexible, and hopeful. It reminds you that no matter your age or circumstances, there is always another skill to acquire, another idea to explore, another perspective to understand. Whether you read books, listen to educational podcasts, learn a musical instrument, study a new language, or simply ask thoughtful questions, every step of learning expands your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Growth gives life momentum, and momentum creates optimism. Your environment also influences your habits more than you may realize. If you surround yourself with constant negativity, criticism, and unhealthy influences, maintaining happiness becomes far more difficult. On the other hand, spending time with encouraging, honest, and optimistic people naturally elevates your own mindset. Human beings often adopt the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of those around them. Choose relationships that inspire you to become wiser, kinder, and more resilient, rather than relationships that constantly drain your energy or reinforce negativity. Perhaps the most overlooked habit of all is consistency. Many people expect happiness to appear after dramatic life changes, but lasting transformation rarely happens overnight. Imagine two individuals beginning the same year. One decides to write down 3 things they are grateful for every evening, walks for 30 minutes each day, sleeps 7 to 8 hours most nights, performs small acts of kindness each week, and reads just 10 pages of a meaningful book every day. The other continues living without intention, allowing stress, distraction, and unhealthy routines to dominate daily life. Neither person experiences a dramatic change after 1 week, but after 1 year, the difference between them becomes remarkable. One has strengthened both mind and body through consistent habits, while the other remains trapped in the same cycle of dissatisfaction. This example illustrates an important truth. Happiness is rarely the result of one life-changing event. It is the outcome of small choices repeated faithfully over time. Every healthy habit is like placing one brick. A single brick may not seem significant, but day after day, those bricks become a strong and beautiful home. In the same way, every grateful thought, every healthy meal, every meaningful conversation, every act of kindness, and every moment of mindfulness becomes another brick in the foundation of a joyful life. You do not need to transform your life overnight. You only need to choose one positive habit and practice it consistently. Tomorrow, choose another. Over time, those small decisions begin changing not only your routines, but also your identity. You stop becoming someone who occasionally feels happy and begin becoming someone who naturally lives with gratitude, purpose, resilience, and hope. The happiest people are not those who live perfect lives. They are those who have built daily habits that help them find beauty in ordinary moments, strength during difficult seasons, and joy in the simple privilege of being alive. Happiness is not hidden in one extraordinary day waiting somewhere in the future. It is quietly built today, one habit at a time. Chapter 8. Letting go of what you can't control. One of the greatest sources of unhappiness is not what happens to you, it is your desire to control what was never yours to control. Think about how much time you spend worrying about things that haven't happened yet. You worry about what people think of you. You replay conversations in your mind, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You become frustrated by traffic, bad weather, unexpected delays, or the choices other people make. You imagine every possible outcome before an important meeting or a difficult conversation. By the time the moment finally arrives, you have already lived through the stress dozens of times. The problem is not that you care. The problem is that you keep trying to control the uncontrollable. Imagine standing on the shore, trying to stop the waves from reaching the beach. You can shout at the ocean, you can become angry, you can demand that the waves stop coming. But the sea does not listen. It continues moving exactly as it always has. Life is much the same. There will always be unexpected setbacks. People will disappoint you. Plans will change. Opportunities will disappear. Illness, failure, criticism, uncertainty, and loss are all part of being human. You cannot eliminate these realities, no matter how carefully you plan your life. What you can control is your response. That simple truth has the power to transform the way you experience every challenge. Many people believe that peace comes from controlling everything around them. In reality, peace comes from accepting that control has limits. The more tightly you try to hold on to every outcome, the more anxious and exhausted you become. The more willing you are to focus on what you can influence instead, the lighter life begins to feel. Consider a familiar situation. You are driving to an important meeting when traffic suddenly comes to a complete stop. At first, frustration takes over. You look at the clock every few seconds. You become angry with other drivers. Your heart races. You complain about how unfair the situation is. But none of those reactions changes the traffic. Now imagine responding differently. You recognize that the delay is outside your control. You inform the meeting organizer that you will be late. Then you take a deep breath, listen to something meaningful, and accept the situation for what it is. The traffic remains exactly the same, yet your experience is completely different. The difference is not the circumstance. The difference is your response. Acceptance is often misunderstood. Many people confuse acceptance with giving up, but they are not the same. Acceptance does not mean approving of painful events or refusing to improve your situation. It simply means acknowledging reality before deciding how to respond. You cannot solve a problem that you refuse to accept. If you lose your job, pretending everything is fine will not help. If a relationship ends, denying your pain will only delay healing. If life takes an unexpected turn, resisting reality consumes valuable energy that could be used to move forward. Acceptance says, "This is what has happened." Resilience asks, "What can I do next?" These two ideas work together. Acceptance gives you clarity. Resilience gives you strength. Another burden that keeps many people from experiencing happiness is the inability to forgive. Forgiveness is not about pretending someone never hurt you. It is not about excusing harmful behavior or allowing people to continue treating you badly. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from carrying the weight of resentment every single day. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every time someone hurts you, another stone is added. Years pass, and the backpack becomes almost impossible to carry. The people who placed the stones there may have forgotten the incident long ago, but you continue carrying the weight. Resentment works exactly like that. It drains your energy. It occupies your thoughts. It steals your peace. Forgiveness does not erase the past. It simply allows you to stop carrying it everywhere you go. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Perhaps you regret a decision you made years ago. Maybe you hurt someone you loved. Maybe you missed an opportunity, trusted the wrong person, or failed in a way that still haunts you. Everyone makes mistakes. The happiest people are not those with perfect histories. They are the ones who learn from their mistakes without allowing those mistakes to define their future. Self-forgiveness begins by recognizing that growth is impossible without imperfection. The person you were years ago knew less than the person you are today. You cannot change yesterday, but you can use its lessons to shape tomorrow. Holding on to guilt forever does not honor your past. Learning from it does. Life also becomes easier when you learn the difference between concern and control. You can care deeply about your family without controlling every decision they make. You can work hard toward a goal without controlling the final outcome. You can prepare thoroughly for an interview without controlling whether you receive the job. You can love someone sincerely without controlling how they choose to respond. Recognizing this difference allows you to invest your energy where it actually matters. Every day, ask yourself a simple question. Is this within my control? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, practice acceptance. This single habit can eliminate an enormous amount of unnecessary stress. Emotional flexibility is another quality shared by resilient people. Instead of demanding that life always go according to plan, they adapt when circumstances change. Like a tree bending during a powerful storm, they remain rooted while allowing themselves to move with the wind. Rigid people often break under pressure because they resist change. Flexible people grow stronger because they learn from it. This does not mean they avoid sadness, disappointment, or fear. It means they refuse to remain trapped by those emotions. They experience them fully. Then they keep moving. Every challenge contains a hidden opportunity to practice this way of living. A failed plan teaches adaptability. A difficult conversation teaches patience. A painful loss teaches gratitude for what remains. An uncertain future teaches trust in your ability to face whatever comes. Life becomes far less exhausting when you stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. You begin to understand that happiness is not created by controlling every event. It is created by developing the inner strength to face every event with courage, wisdom, and grace. The truth is, you cannot control the weather. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control the past. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your attitude. You can control your effort. You can control your character. You can control how you treat others. You can control whether you choose hope instead of despair, gratitude instead of resentment, and courage instead of fear. When you finally let go of what was never yours to control, you make room for something far more valuable. Not certainty, not perfection, but peace. And sometimes peace is the deepest form of happiness you will ever find. Chapter 9. The people who shape your happiness. No matter how independent you believe you are, your happiness has never been a journey you take alone. From the day you were born, your life has been shaped by the people around you. Your family taught you your first lessons about love and trust. Friends influenced the way you saw yourself. Teachers expanded your understanding of the world. Strangers showed you unexpected kindness. Even those who hurt you played a role in shaping your character. Human beings are not designed to live in isolation. We are designed to connect. You may think happiness comes from achieving personal goals, building wealth, or reaching success. While those things can certainly improve your life, research consistently shows that one factor has a greater influence on long-term happiness than almost anything else: the quality of your relationships. Think back to the happiest memories of your life. Perhaps it was celebrating with your family after achieving something important, sharing laughter with close friends late into the night, sitting beside someone you love during a quiet conversation, receiving encouragement when you felt like giving up, helping another person through a difficult time. Notice something. The memories that remain most meaningful are rarely about possessions. They are about people. A beautiful house eventually becomes familiar. A new car loses its excitement. A larger salary soon feels ordinary. But genuine relationships often become more valuable with time. Love, friendship, and meaningful connection satisfy something deep within every human being. They remind you that your life matters not because of what you own, but because of who walks beside you. Unfortunately, modern life often pushes you in the opposite direction. Technology allows you to communicate with hundreds of people every day, yet many individuals feel lonelier than ever before. You may have thousands of followers online, but no one you feel comfortable calling when life becomes difficult. Being surrounded by people is not the same as feeling connected. Real connection requires something much deeper than constant communication. It requires presence. Many conversations today happen while one person checks messages, another scrolls through social media, and both are only partially listening. We have become skilled at talking without truly hearing one another. Yet one conversation where someone listens with genuine attention can bring more comfort than 100 casual interactions. People rarely remember every word you say. They remember how you made them feel. One sincere conversation can strengthen a relationship more than years of superficial contact. Strong relationships are built on simple but powerful qualities: trust, honesty, respect, kindness, reliability. These qualities cannot be purchased. They are earned through consistent actions over time. Trust, in particular, acts like the foundation of a house. Building it takes patience, but losing it can happen in a single careless moment. Happy relationships are not free from disagreements. Every close relationship experiences misunderstandings, disappointments, and conflict. What separates healthy relationships from unhealthy ones is not the absence of problems, but the willingness to work through them with honesty and compassion. One of the greatest gifts you can give another person is your full attention. When someone speaks to you, listen not simply to reply, but to understand. Ask questions, show genuine curiosity, put away distractions, allow them to feel heard. In a world where everyone wants to be understood, becoming someone who truly listens is a rare and valuable quality. Relationships also flourish through kindness. Small gestures often matter more than dramatic displays of affection. A sincere thank you, a thoughtful message, remembering an important date, offering encouragement during difficult times, or simply asking, "How are you really doing?" can strengthen a bond more than expensive gifts ever could. Kindness tells another person, "You matter." And surprisingly, every act of kindness benefits both people involved. When you encourage someone, you also strengthen your own sense of purpose. When you help another person, you often discover that your own worries become smaller. Generosity creates connection because it shifts your attention away from yourself and towards someone else's well-being. Another important lesson is learning to choose your relationships wisely. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your time, energy, and emotional peace. Some people constantly criticize, some spread negativity, some only appear when they need something. Others leave you feeling emotionally exhausted after every interaction. Loving people does not always mean allowing them to influence every part of your life. Healthy boundaries are not acts of selfishness, they are acts of self-respect. Protecting your peace allows you to become a better friend, partner, parent, and colleague because you are no longer constantly drained by unhealthy relationships. At the same time, appreciate the people who genuinely support you. Too often, you assume they will always be there. You become so busy chasing future goals that you forget to nurture the relationships already enriching your life. Call your parents, spend time with your children, visit old friends, express gratitude to your partner. Tell people you appreciate them while you still have the opportunity. Life changes quickly. One day, the conversation you postpone may become the conversation you never get to have. Never underestimate the power of simply being present for someone. You do not always need the perfect advice. Sometimes people are not looking for solutions. They are looking for someone willing to sit beside them during difficult moments. Your presence often speaks louder than your words. Perhaps the greatest relationship you will ever build is the one based on mutual growth. Surround yourself with people who encourage your dreams, challenge your thinking, celebrate your success without jealousy, and remind you of your values when you begin to lose your way. Likewise, become that kind of person for others. Be the friend who listens, the family member who forgives, the colleague who encourages, the neighbor who helps, the person whose presence makes life a little lighter. When you become a source of peace for others, you often discover greater peace within yourself. At the end of your life, it is unlikely that you will remember every email you answered, every meeting you attended, or every possession you accumulated. You will remember the people who stood beside you, the laughter you shared, the kindness you gave, the love you received, the lives you touched. Because happiness has never been measured by the number of things you own. It has always been measured by the depth of the relationships you build. In the end, success may fill your resume, but love, friendship, and human connection fill your heart. And a full heart is where lasting happiness is truly found. Chapter 10. Happiness during difficult times. Difficult times have a strange way of revealing what really matters. When life is easy, you may believe your strength comes from comfort, success, and stability. But when everything suddenly changes, when the future becomes uncertain and the ground beneath you begins to shake, you discover something deeper. You discover what kind of person you become when life does not go according to plan. You discover whether your happiness depends only on favorable circumstances or whether it can survive pain, loss, and disappointment. Everyone faces difficult seasons. You may lose a job, face financial pressure, endure a broken relationship, struggle with illness, disappoint someone you care about, or experience a failure that shakes your confidence. These moments can feel cruel, unfair, and deeply personal. At times they may make you question your worth or your future, yet hardship is not always the end of happiness. Sometimes it becomes the very path through which a deeper kind of happiness is born. This does not mean pain is pleasant. It does not mean suffering is easy or that you should pretend everything is fine when it is not. It simply means that suffering does not have to destroy you. It can shape you. It can teach you. It can strip away illusions and reveal strengths you did not know you had. When life is comfortable, you may take many things for granted. You may not fully appreciate health until illness appears. You may not fully appreciate peace until chaos arrives. You may not fully appreciate love until distance or loss makes its value clear. Difficult times have a way of waking you up. They remind you that life is fragile, temporary, and precious. One of the greatest gifts hidden inside hardship is resilience. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the ability to keep going despite pain. It is the inner strength that helps you rise after disappointment, breathe through uncertainty, and keep moving even when you do not yet see the way forward. Resilience does not mean you never break down. It means you do not stay broken forever. Imagine a tree standing through a storm. The wind bends it. The rain beats against it. The branches sway, yet the tree survives because its roots are deep. In the same way, your resilience depends on what is rooted inside you. If your sense of happiness depends only on comfort and control, difficult times will shake you deeply. But if your inner life is rooted in purpose, gratitude, faith, self-respect, and connection, you are more likely to endure and grow. Some of the most meaningful growth in your life may come from moments you would never have chosen. A failure may humble you enough to become wiser. A heartbreak may teach you compassion. A period of loneliness may push you towards self-understanding. A painful loss may help you value the people still beside you. Even though these experiences hurt, they can also deepen your humanity. There is a powerful idea in psychology known as post-traumatic growth. It refers to the positive psychological change that can emerge after adversity. Some people, after going through painful experiences, discover a greater appreciation for life, stronger relationships, increased personal strength, a clearer sense of purpose, or a deeper spiritual awareness. They do not thank the pain itself, but they recognize that even suffering can become a teacher. You have probably seen this in people you admire. They may not have had easy lives, but their struggles gave them depth. They became more patient because they learned how hard life can be. They became more caring because they know what it feels like to be hurt. They became more grateful because they understand what it means to lose something important. Their pain did not make them weaker. It made them more real. One reason difficult times can still lead to happiness is that they often strip away distractions. When life is comfortable, you may spend your energy chasing things that do not matter much in the long run. But when hardship arrives, the small and superficial begin to lose their power. Suddenly, what matters most becomes clear. A message from someone who cares. A quiet moment of rest. A kind word. A meal on the table. The ability to keep going. Hardship can sharpen your perspective and remind you that happiness is not always found in excitement, but often in simple survival, steady hope, and the support of others. Gratitude becomes especially important during painful seasons. This is not because gratitude erases suffering, but because it helps prevent suffering from becoming the only thing you see. Even in difficult times, there are usually small reasons to keep your heart open. A friend who checks on you. A lesson you are slowly learning. The fact that you made it through another day. The strength to begin again. Gratitude does not deny pain. It balances it. Hope is another quiet force that helps you endure. Hope does not always look dramatic. Sometimes hope is simply choosing to believe that this moment is not the whole story. It is the decision to keep going even when answers are not yet visible. Hope says that your current pain is real, but it is not permanent. Your struggle is meaningful, but it is not final. Life can still surprise you. When you are in the middle of a painful season, it can be difficult to believe that anything good can come from it. You may feel tired, confused, and discouraged. That is human. But if you can keep moving, even slowly, You may one day look back and see that the experience changed you in ways comfort never could. You may see that you became wiser, kinder, more patient, more grounded, more compassionate, and more aware of what truly matters. This is why difficult times, painful as they are, can become part of a larger journey toward happiness. Not the shallow happiness of constant comfort, but the deeper happiness that comes from surviving, learning, growing, and becoming stronger than before. You do not need to be grateful for the pain itself. You only need to remain open to the possibility that pain can produce wisdom, that loss can deepen love, and that uncertainty can lead you to a stronger version of yourself. When life hurts, you may not feel happy in the moment, but you can still move toward a life that becomes richer, deeper, and more meaningful because of what you have endured. And sometimes, after the storm has passed, you discover that your happiness is no longer fragile. It is wiser, it is steadier, it is rooted in something that pain could not take away. Chapter 11. Creating Your Own Happiness. One of the most painful habits in life is waiting. Waiting for the perfect job, waiting for the right relationship, waiting for more money, waiting for the stress to disappear, waiting for the right time to start living. So many people spend years believing that happiness will finally begin when life becomes easier, cleaner, quieter, richer, or more certain. They tell themselves that once the outside world improves, their inner world will follow. But the truth is far more empowering. You do not have to wait for your life to become perfect before you begin creating happiness within it. Happiness is not only something you receive, it is something you practice. This does not mean you can force yourself to feel joyful every moment or pretend that pain does not exist. Life will always contain pressure, disappointment, and uncertainty. But within those realities, you still have the power to make choices that shape your emotional world. You can choose how you speak to yourself. You can choose where you place your attention. You can choose what you nurture, what you release, and what kind of person you decide to become. The people who seem happiest are not always the ones with the easiest lives. Often, they are the ones who have learned how to create meaning, beauty, and gratitude within ordinary days. They do not wait for happiness to arrive like a visitor from the outside. They build it from the inside, through intentional living. This begins with responsibility. Not the heavy kind of responsibility that feels like a burden, but the liberating kind that reminds you your life is still in your hands. When you stop blaming circumstances for every emotional struggle, you reclaim your power. You begin to realize that although you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond, what you focus on, and what habits you allow to shape your days. Creating your own happiness often starts with small decisions. You decide to wake up a little earlier so your morning is not rushed. You decide to put your phone aside and actually notice the world around you. You decide to speak kindly to yourself instead of repeating criticism. You decide to finish the task you have been avoiding because unfinished work drains your mind. You decide to reach out to someone you care about instead of disappearing into isolation. Each choice may seem minor, but together they create a life that feels more stable, more peaceful, and more alive. A meaningful life is rarely built through dramatic moments alone. It is built through repeated intention. You may not be able to redesign your entire future in one day, but you can shape today. That is where happiness begins, not in grand declarations, but in quiet decisions made with awareness. One powerful way to create happiness is to live in alignment with your values. When your daily actions reflect what truly matters to you, life feels more honest and less fragmented. If kindness matters to you, then make kindness visible in the way you treat people. If growth matters to you, then keep learning even when progress feels slow. If family matters to you, then give them your attention instead of only your leftover energy. If peace matters to you, then protect your mind from unnecessary chaos. Misalignment creates inner tension. Alignment creates calm. Another part of creating your own happiness is learning to stop postponing what matters. Many people delay joy because they believe they must first accomplish something important before they deserve to feel good. They tell themselves they will rest after finishing one more task, travel after earning more, celebrate after losing weight, or relax after solving every problem. But life keeps moving. If you keep delaying happiness until every problem is solved, you may spend your entire life waiting. This is why intentional joy is so important. You have to make room for it on purpose. You have to choose it, protect it, and sometimes even schedule it. A walk without distractions, a meal shared with full attention, a conversation where you truly listen. A moment of silence before the day begins. A page from a meaningful book. A song that lifts your spirit. A prayer of gratitude. These things may look simple, but they remind you that joy is not always hidden in the extraordinary. Often it lives in the ordinary things you are too busy to notice. Creating your own happiness also means accepting imperfection. Many people wait for the perfect version of themselves before they allow happiness in. They think they must first become more successful, more attractive, more disciplined, more confident, or more healed. But perfection is an illusion that keeps life on hold. Growth is real, progress is real, learning is real. A happier life begins when you stop demanding that everything be flawless before you allow yourself to enjoy it. You are allowed to appreciate your life while still improving it. You are allowed to feel grateful while still wanting more. You are allowed to celebrate progress without pretending the journey is over. Happiness does not require the absence of ambition. It requires the presence of perspective. The more intentionally you live, the more you begin to discover that happiness is not a distant reward for future achievement. It is a skill you develop through repeated choices. It is built when you choose peace over drama, gratitude over complaint, purpose over distraction, and presence over endless worry. It grows when you treat your life as something to participate in rather than merely survive. There will always be moments when life feels heavy. There will always be days when joy feels harder to reach. But even then, you are not powerless. You can still choose one thought, one action, one conversation, one habit that moves you closer to the life you want. That choice matters more than you may realize. You do not need permission to begin creating a better inner world. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need every answer. You only need the courage to begin where you are. That is the quiet power of this chapter. Happiness is not waiting at the end of your excuses. It begins the moment you decide that your life is worth shaping with care, attention, and hope. And once you make that decision, you stop waiting for happiness to arrive from somewhere else. You begin becoming its source. Chapter 12. Happiness is the journey. You have spent so much of your life searching for happiness as if it were a place you might eventually reach, a destination, a reward, a final answer waiting at the end of struggle. You have imagined that one day, after enough success, enough healing, enough money, enough love, enough progress, everything inside you would finally settle, you would finally arrive, you would finally feel complete. But life rarely works that way. The truth is far more quiet and far more beautiful. Happiness is not a finish line waiting somewhere in the distance. It is the way you learn to walk through your days. It is the way you see, the way you love, the way you respond, the way you keep going even when life is uncertain. It is not a single moment that changes everything forever. It is a way of living that shapes everything you touch. When you began this journey, perhaps you believed happiness was hidden in the future. You thought it lived in achievement, comfort, applause, or perfect circumstances. But as you have moved through these chapters, something important has emerged. Happiness is not simply something you find. It is something you build, something you protect, something you practice, and something you return to again and again. You have learned that chasing more does not always bring peace. You have seen how comparison can quietly steal your joy. You have discovered that understanding yourself matters more than pretending to be someone else. You have seen the science behind gratitude, mindfulness, connection, and healthy habits. You have learned that purpose lasts longer than pleasure, that resilience can grow in difficult seasons, that people matter deeply, and that your daily choices have more power than you may have realized. All of that leads to one simple truth. Happiness is a process, not a possession. That means you do not need to wait until life becomes perfect before you allow yourself to enjoy it. You do not need every answer before you can begin living well. You do not need to be free from pain, uncertainty, or ambition in order to experience peace. You only need to begin where you are, with the life already in front of you. This does not mean settling for less than you deserve. It means learning how to be fully present while continuing to grow. It means noticing the good that already exists without becoming blind to what still needs work. It means understanding that a meaningful life is built in layers through small acts of awareness, courage, kindness, and patience. There will still be hard days. There will still be moments when you feel lost, tired, disappointed, or afraid. That does not mean you have failed. It means you are human. Happiness is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to remain anchored even when the water moves. It is the quiet confidence that your life still holds beauty, even when every part of it does not yet look the way you hoped. The happiest people are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who have learned how to keep their hearts open during struggle. They know how to appreciate a simple sunrise, a kind word, a peaceful meal, a trusted friend, a lesson learned, a chance to begin again. They understand that a good life is not built from one dramatic moment, but from thousands of ordinary moments lived with care. That is why the journey matters so much. Because while you are waiting for the destination, you may miss the very thing you were looking for. You may miss the conversation that softens your heart, the lesson that strengthens your character, the silence that calms your mind, the opportunity to be grateful right now, not later, the chance to become wiser, kinder, and more grounded through the life you are already living. You may never reach a point where every problem disappears, but you can reach a point where your happiness no longer depends entirely on circumstances. You can learn to carry joy with you, even in unfinished seasons. You can learn to create meaning before perfection arrives. You can learn to live with a sense of enough while still reaching for more. And perhaps that is the deepest secret of all. The life you thought was waiting for you someday is already here, hidden inside your present moments. It is in the way you breathe, the way you choose, the way you respond, the way you love, and the way you keep moving forward with hope. So do not think of happiness as a distant prize you must one day win. Think of it as a path you walk every day, a way of being, a practice of paying attention, a willingness to see your life clearly and still choose gratitude, courage, and meaning. You are not waiting for happiness to begin. You are already inside it whenever you are fully alive to the life in front of you. That is why happiness is the journey. Because the moment you stop searching for it as if it lives somewhere else, you begin discovering that it has been walking beside you all along. As you reach the end of this audiobook, remember that your search for happiness was never about finding the perfect life. It was about discovering a better way to live the life you already have. Throughout this journey, you have explored why happiness often feels so distant, why success alone cannot satisfy, and why constantly chasing more only leaves you wanting more. You have learned that happiness is not hidden inside wealth, status, or perfection. It grows through gratitude, meaningful relationships, purposeful living, healthy habits, resilience, and the courage to embrace each day as it comes. Most importantly, you have discovered that happiness is not something the future gives you. It is something the present invites you to create. There will still be challenges ahead. There will be moments of uncertainty, disappointment, and change. But now you know that those moments do not have to define your life. You have the ability to choose your response, protect your peace, and continue moving forward with hope. Happiness is not the absence of hardship, it is the strength to find meaning, joy, and gratitude even while life remains imperfect. As you close this audiobook, don't ask yourself, "When will I finally be happy?" Instead, ask, "What small choice can I make today that brings more happiness into my life and the lives of those around me?" That single question has the power to transform your future. Thank you for allowing this audiobook to be part of your journey. May you stop chasing happiness as something far away and begin recognizing it in the people you love, the purpose you pursue, the moments you cherish, and the person you choose to become. Your search doesn't end here. It truly begins now.